Your life.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. It's approximately 1 p.m. I'm Mayor Enriquez. Before we start, I want to mention that we have an ASL interpreter available for every regular council meeting, and she will be at the front for anyone who requires interpretation services. Will you please stand and join me as we start with a moment of silence for the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police Department, Las Cruces Fire, as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. Councilor Corinne, if you'll lead us in the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is presentations and certifications. We have none. Correct. And there is no jobs of the week, so we'll start with pets of the week, and we'll welcome Carol Nielsen. Welcome.
Thank you. You'll just have to be patient with me since this is my first time. Okay. And I am blanking. Oh, perfect. Okay, there we go. Thank you all for having me here. I'm here to present the pets of the week. This week, our cat of the week is Tiana, number 78884. She says, "Hello there, I'm Tiana. I'm young and full of life. I adore people. I'm friendly and affectionate, always ready to nuzzle up for some love. My purrs are always a way of saying thank you for your kindness. I believe in making the most of every moment and spreading joy to those around me. Why should you adopt me? Because I'll fill your home with love, warmth, and lots of purrs." And this week's dog of the week is Sally, number 70889. Oh, got that wrong. Domino is actually her name. Error on my part. I'm friendly with a heart full of sweetness and a spirit that loves to play. I'm eager to learn and grow, and I'm hoping to find a home where I can be taught good people manners. My perfect match would be someone patient and loving who can guide me to be the best pup I can be. Let's create a beautiful life together. This week, we have Picnic with the Pup at our center, which is located 3543 Bataan Memorial West. It's going to be September 7th, this coming Saturday from 11 to 2 p.m. We're still having our Clear the Shelter event, which is going through September 10th. All adoptions are $50, so we're trying to get as many as we can adopted out. And then if you would like to contact us on the web, you can visit our website at ascmv.org, and you can also find us on the different social channels. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carol. Good job. Next is a conflict.
Like you did Friday and take action? The answer is chilling, because you either didn't care or deemed the lives of poor Hispanic cancer patients expendable. The lack of action reeks of insincerity, damage control, and a callous disregard for human suffering. To further highlight the display of politically charged T-shirts only adds to the surreal weirdness of some of the council. The negligence of the council and commission over the past 3 or 4 years, including when Councilor, now Representative Vasquez, was on the dais, is inexcusable. Stop the empty promises of resets and take real accountability and action. Who knew of the allegations around 2015? when MFC discontinued outpatient oncology and chemo services. The people deserve to know. Thank you.
City Councilors and Mayor, I'm Sarah Smith. I continue to be concerned about the upcoming Amador Crossing homeless housing project, which you are planning to allocate $10 to $15 million for. With 50 units, that equates to $200,000 to $300,000 per unit, even though the majority of these apartments are going to be single-room efficiency apartments. I understand that you are considering having only 14 of the units dedicated to sober living. However, this is not enough. We need to be aiming for as many people as possible to be rehabilitated instead of enabling people to continue their self-destructive drug addiction by giving them free housing, free medical care, free food, and cash disability payments from the government every month with no requirements for sobriety or accountability. Housing people who are trying to get sober right next to those who are allowed to continue using drugs is horribly short-sighted. We have already seen the results of that at the Desert Hope Homeless Housing Project on the corner of Pecos and Foster. Although some have come before council recently saying that the problems at Desert Hope were in the long distant past, I want to remind you that just last summer in 2023, there was yet another drug dealer living in those apartments. Residents living at Desert Hope reported there being chaos and fighting all day and night. These were people trying to turn their lives around, trying to break free of addiction, and they had people coming back over and over again offering them drugs. According to the San Antonio Haven for Hope, which serves 7,000 homeless people yearly, quote, housing first only works for 15% of people. 85% of people need different kinds of stability before they move into housing. It is not compassionate to enable people to continue destroying their lives and health with drugs. We need to look at whether the people we are supposedly helping are actually reforming their lives, becoming free of their drug addiction, and moving towards independence. Will you please consider making the entire Amador Crossing project dedicated to sober living, alongside job readiness training and supportive services? That is what they do in the Work First program at Boulder Bridge House in Colorado. After 1 year, people graduate from that program ready for employment and permanent housing. That program has a 74% success rate in having people maintain employment and independence. According to Dustin, who was formerly homeless and addicted to drugs, Ready to Work, quote, teaches you how to be responsible and accountable for your behavior. The work first part builds self-efficacy through actually doing something with yourself. That's what works. We should be aiming for improved, rehabilitated lives for the homeless people so they can become responsible members of our community. Will you please use this huge investment of taxpayer dollars to ensure that we are rehabilitating as many people as possible for the good of everyone? Thank you.
Good afternoon, council, distinguished chiefs, mayor. My name is Eddie Thomas. Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, I don't see your t-shirt today. You didn't wear your t-shirt emblazoned with the
Mr. Thomas, please. Again, these public participation is
It's
to
not
remain.
personal, Mayor.
No, yes, you are calling out and you are being personal. Just stick to the facts in your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. The fact is, there's a t-shirt with decriminalize poverty worn by one of the council members. Okay. I couldn't agree more. We shouldn't be criminalizing poverty. It's not against the law to be poor. However, I criminalize criminals and criminality, especially the violent type, like the one that murdered a young officer by the name of Jonah Hernandez. Recently, we had an impromptu discussion just outside these doors, Mayor Pro Tem, in which my takeaway was that if I wanted street improvements and drainage for my neighborhood, I'd have to support your GRT increase. Okay? That's tantamount to extortion, in my view. Okay, you snicker and you laugh. Okay, but think about it. Quid pro quo, tit for tat. All right. Anyway, your primary job is the safety of your constituents, the citizens of Las Cruces. Your second priority...
Mayor, may I have your okay to speak?
No, not at this time. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Councilman. No,
I think you were perfectly right about not personal attacks.
Right.
I think we have to have decorum and we have to have respect. I really believe that, and I think that's necessary.
Okay, I couldn't agree with you
Okay.
more. Anyway, like I was saying, prosperity is your second obligation to the citizens of Las Cruces. Your first is safety, which is why we're talking about criminality here in Las Cruces. And the thing I want to say about that is that nothing says poverty like the eyesores and the blights in Las Cruces, the abandoned homes, the padlocked doors, the shuttered businesses, the plywood windows. Okay, so you have a problem with the look of Las Cruces. It looks like poverty, okay? And that doesn't help our image, and it doesn't help any efforts, which primarily I think look more like pro-crime and anti-business. What is that, sir? I don't see what that is. Are you giving that to me? Can I walk up and get it from you? Excuse me.
Mayor, Council, my name is Frank Lopez. I'd like to make a few comments about the shopping cart ordinance that was passed last month. But before I do that, just a little bit of background. In my younger days, I was an attorney, and I went to law school to do community work. And so for the past 25 years, I've been an executive director and a capacity builder. And during that time, I've done a lot of study and analysis on impact and effectiveness. So back to the ordinance. My understanding of the shopping cart ordinance is that the shopping carts on the streets created a nuisance and potential hazard to health, welfare, and safety of the public. I'm curious as to how the city evaluates its ordinances. And in other words, is it effective? Does it work? Does it accomplish what its objectives were? So over time, like this is a new ordinance, it was just passed, but over time, the city should evaluate its ordinance and ask some difficult questions like, as a result of the ordinance, have we improved the welfare and well-being of our residents? As a result of the ordinance, have we improved public safety? Have we addressed the homeless situation that gave rise to the ordinance? Evaluation includes hard questions and data analysis. Intuitively, we all know that at the heart of homelessness is poverty, access to mental health care, and housing. I know the cities, you all have been putting a lot of time into housing, and I applaud and really commend you for that work. But I have a suggestion, though, with regards to ordinances such as the one that was passed. And here's a suggestion. That the ordinance include an evaluation component. So it's not just an ordinance that states, here's what we're trying to solve, and here's the punishment or whatever an ordinance can include, but also include an evaluation component. So over time, the ordinance can actually be evaluated. And if it's working, great, you'll find that out with evidence. And if it's not working, then the ordinance can be amended or removed from the books. So I offer that. And I share all that by way of acknowledging that the city has limited resources. Like, we all know that. You all know that better than anyone. And I, for one, would rather have our law enforcement work and spend time on much more important matters than stopping the homeless people for their shopping cart for being homeless. And on another day, I'll come back and share some ideas on what we can do in that respect. Well, I'll stop there. Thank you all for the work you do.
Howdy, my name is Lonnie Montgomery, and I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I'm here to pray that the council have makes wise decisions in today's and other times. I understand I could speak on anything, but today I only have like 2 questions. Number one, there was what people have called, and I've seen on TV, the 15-minute community. And I wonder what happened. Is that an ordinance that's already in effect? Or, you know, is it going to be effect in the future? Or is it being snuck in the back door by other things? I just don't know. I want to know what happened to that particular thing. And another thing I'd like to see is that we meet at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Seemed like a pretty good democratic idea to me. That, you know, we who are retired can come anytime that we want to. 1 o'clock is convenient for me, although I did rush lunch a little. But anyway, I think at that time that you would be more in contact with the constituents that you're representing, and they could be here to find out what you are doing for them or to them, and find out, you know, what's happening. You know, like I understood in the 15-minute thing, you had to have a dispensary and you had to have a bar. I was wondering, well, how about a church? Or, you know, we have one of those in each thing, and the pedestrians can walk, but it also goes to the fact that we have a lot of speeders in this town, and if you got those in each neighborhood, you have a better chance, although we nearly have a dispensary on every corner, that the speeders are going to be DUI. And, you know, I appreciate what the police are trying to do for that. Although, you know, we might do like Albuquerque and put up the speed radars to catch those that are going up Highway 70 in the 45 zone. It's 75, 85 miles an hour. But, you know, that's my two questions, and I don't expect an answer now, but, you know, I could talk to Mr. Matisse, who's my counselor. Maybe we can get a copy of the ordinance for the 15-minute community or whatever, something like that. And I appreciate him being my counselor, because he's a very wise man. And like I say, I pray for you to make very wise decisions. And thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is George Pearson, Vice President of Cruces, your local bike ped advocacy nonprofit. I was able to attend the 2024 New Mexico Transportation Safety Summit put on by NMDOT last week in Albuquerque. A lot of good information was shared at the summit. We heard about the safe system approach, the unfortunate high traffic fatality rates, and how crashes disproportionately impact people of color, lower income populations, and bicyclists and pedestrians. New Mexico has the sad distinction of having the highest per capita pedestrian fatality rate for several years. NMDOT is embracing Vision Zero. They are calling it Target Zero, but it is otherwise directly aligns with the Vision Zero goals. Speakers at the summit included New Mexico Secretary of Transportation Ricky Serna, representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and private and nonprofit experts in traffic safety and design. We were also privileged to have Senator Ben Ray Lujan attend and address the summit. He shared his personal experience with traffic violence that involved an intoxicated driver. Southern New Mexico is well represented at the summit with several participants from NMDOT District 1, including the district engineer. The MPO was there, as was Las Cruces Public Schools, and Doñana County was represented by the undersheriff and one of her deputies. Unfortunately, there was no attendance from the city of Las Cruces. This was a missed opportunity, as we all need to learn best practices to improve traffic safety. I'm looking forward to the promised Vision Zero work session and the upcoming Safe Streets for All grant-funded update to the active transportation plan, plus the scheduled MRA workshop that surely must also look at traffic safety. We've been talking a lot about traffic safety, and it's time to start identifying action items and to help make Las Cruces a safe city for all modes of transportation. Thank you.
Okay, next is the acceptance of agenda.
Move to approve.
Second, Corin.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham is absent. Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Now we'll get to the resolutions and ordinance for discussion. The first item is 7.1. It is a public hearing, so the public hearing is open at this time, which is 1:26 p.m. Is there anyone here for or against the proposed liquor license? I'm sorry, that's resolution number 25-027. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed at this time.
Move to approve.
Second.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Awesome, thank you so much.
I was waiting, I thought we were going to vote on
Just waiting for the green light. Thank
for
you,
it to
sir.
start.
For the record, Adam Ochoa, Community Development. Before you have a proposed liquor license for a property located at 4130 White Sage Arch. This is actually the new Si Senor restaurant that is going on up in this location. An application for a transfer of ownership and change of location of interlocal dispenser liquor license number 2604 with on-premise consumption only and patio service is what we're reviewing for this property. The Alcoholic Beverage Control section of the state sent a preliminary approval to the city. City staff did reach out requesting an extension because essentially they would have to approve this on yesterday when nobody was here. So we got a one-day extension for this. All reviewing staff, including fire department, community development, traffic, business registrations, and fire department did review the proposal, and they saw no issues with the proposal. Here is that subject property currently still under construction, right off of White Sage Arch, directly north of Northrise. So your options is 1, to vote yes and approve the proposed liquor license, or 2, to deny the proposed liquor license. The Alcoholic Beverage Control section is notified of the vote and continue the application process after this. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions by council? Councilor Corinne?
I'm just curious, is the applicant here by chance?
I believe the applicant is here.
And I'm asking because, while this is Councilor Flores' district, this is one of the most asked about signs in my district, which is adjacent. And folks are like, when is this happening? They feel like they've been watching that sign for a long time. And so I'm sure that this is one of the steps related to that. But I'm curious if the applicant can shed any light on the timing. If they're not here, then that's okay. But I always tell people, I don't know, but I'm sure that that it's coming. So.
Yes, ma'am. Let me double check if they're here. Give me one second. Looks like they may not be here, but just to give you a little bit of a timeline, ma'am, they do have a building permit. They are undergoing inspections as we speak, but actual finalization of the restaurant hasn't been done yet. After construction is done, their business registration will be released as well, and they'll be ready to go, ma'am.
Okay, so I can tell folks coming sooner than the sign which has been up for a few years, so people have been really impatient about this.
No, thank you, Councilor Corinne. I agree. And I was just going to say, would Larry Nichols have any idea on the timeline?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, Larry Nichols for the record. We haven't heard any more from the contractor or the developer as to their scheduling for completion of the project. They are ready to move on it, but I think they're waiting to make certain that this transfer is completed, and then they'll be more active on that, I believe.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-027. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham is absent. Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next, we have item 7.2, another public hearing, resolution number 25-028. So this is a public hearing is now open at 1:30 p.m. Is there anyone here for or against the proposed liquor license? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed at 1:31 p.m.
Move to approve.
Second.
Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you so much. Next proposal we have here is another liquor license, also for the CCR restaurant, but this is the one located at 1551 East Amador Avenue. So this is an application for a transfer of ownership of interlocal dispenser liquor license number 2515 with on-premise consumption only and with patio service. Again, the ABC already did provide preliminary approval for the proposed liquor license, and that was sent over to the city. Another request of extension was requested and approved for the city for the approval of this. Majority of staff reviewing this saw no issues with the proposal. The only thing that was brought up was community development. Did notice that there is a school campus within 300 feet of the subject property, but following kind of state statutes or regulations, the city council does have the ability to waive that requirement since there is no health, safety, or welfare issues identified by the remaining reviewing parties of this proposed liquor license. Shown here, the subject property, CCR, I'm sure we're all familiar with it. And what we're looking at, I believe this is at Hermosa Heights Elementary that is located about 255 feet away from the property, just barely. So again, council, your option is here to vote yes and approve the proposed liquor license, or to vote no and deny it. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I stand for questions.
Any questions by council? Councilor Flores?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Ochoa, for your presentation. How is it that this question comes up about the proximity of the school to a business that sells liquor? Why now? I mean, I understand there's a transfer of ownership, but is that the only reason the city was prompted, or the owners were prompted, or do you know?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, it's part of their application that shows that they're at least 300 feet away from a school, military institution, or religious institution, I believe is the three. But that being said, there's no real guidance as to, by the state to the city as to guidelines of whether to approve or deny because of that distance requirement. They kind of leave it up to health, safety, welfare, if you will, and if there's any outstanding issues with the property, if you will. Like I stated before, police department and the fire department did recognize no issues and provided no comment that they had any potential issues in the past. This property, or this restaurant actually, currently already has liquor license. This is just kind of a changing of ownership of it. So it's already gotten approval for the waiver in the past as well. But staff did go ahead and recognize the distance requirement, and we did send out letters to the surrounding property owners within the 300 feet, just to let them know of the proposed liquor license coming before council today, ma'am.
Did anyone from the school contact your department about this?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, no, they did not. And I was the contact person for it, so I was not contacted at all.
So did you get any calls from the constituents there, the
Mayor,
residents?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, absolutely none, ma'am.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
You're good. Any other questions? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-028. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is 7.3, public hearing required, a resolution number 25-029. This is a public hearing, is now open at 1:35 p.m. Is there anyone here or for or against the proposed liquor license?
Mayor, councilors, I am here as supportive. It's my wife's business, so I'm the one that's off today. She's also midwife, so she's delivering babies. I'm over here supporting whatever. You have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Yeah, just state your name.
Jeff Wall.
Thank you. Okay, the public hearing is now closed at 1:36 p.m.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. One more time here. So this is another proposed liquor license for a property located at 901 East University Avenue. The name of the business is the Fig and Brie Las Cruces. So this is an application for a restaurant beer and wine liquor license with on-premise consumption only with patio service. Again, they did already receive preliminary approval by the Alcoholic Beverage Control section of the state, just pending city final approval. Request for extension was also approved for this liquor license. Again, same situation here as the last one. Majority of the staff reviews had no issues with the proposed application. The only thing that was found by, again, community development staff, it's within 300 feet of NMSU property, which is about 90 feet away, right across the University Avenue. But again, City Council does have the authority to waive that distance requirement. Showing the subject property here, located actually in this building right here in Suite B. And just an FYI, there are a couple liquor licenses in that area as well that the waiver was approved in the past for them as well. So your options, one to vote yes and approve the proposed liquor license, or two to vote no and deny the proposed liquor license. Conclusion. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Adam. Any questions? Councilor Flores?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you again, Adam. So the university does have the power to say yay or nay to this, right?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, no ma'am. They were notified.
They were notified?
They were notified about the proposal, including everybody else within 300 feet of the proposed liquor license. Staff received no public input at all, ma'am.
Okay, and so the public input, the non-public input means that you go ahead. Thank you.
Any other question? None? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-029. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores,
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Next is item 7.4, resolution number 25-030, a resolution to accept the 2024 firefighter recruitment fund agreement from the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration in a total amount of $262,500 over 3 years with no match required. Crystal Silva, need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, staff, and public. My name is Crystal Silva with the Grants Administration Program. Today, I'm bringing forward a resolution to accept the Firefighter Recruitment Grant Award. The New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration requires City Council to approve a resolution of acceptance before executing the agreement, with any unspent funds over the 3 years being returned to the state. The city received $262,500 to hire 4 full-time firefighter and emergency medical technicians over 3 years, offsetting the cost of these positions in the fiscal year 2025 budget. The funds will be dispersed $150,000 the first year, $75,000 the second year, and $37,500 the third year. Before you are your council options, and I do stand for questions.
Thank you, Crystal. Any questions? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-030. Counselor McClure,
Yes.
Counselor Matisse,
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent, Counselor Cran,
Yes.
Counselor Flores,
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Next, item 7.5, resolution number 25-031, a resolution authorizing the City of Las Cruces to accept grants award for various city departments.
Move to approve.
Second. Corin.
Go ahead, Joe.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilor, City staff, and public. My name is Joe Padilla, Budget Analyst with the City of Las Cruces. Today, I'm bringing forth the resolution to accept various grants for the city. The State of New Mexico's Department of Finance and Administration has awarded the Housing and Neighborhood Services Program $2 million to support the Padrina Apartment Complex construction project. The State of New Mexico's Energy, Mineral, and Natural Resources Department has awarded the Parks and Recreation Department about $367,000 with a $367,000 match. This funding will be used for a new outdoor recreation facility at the Henry Benavides Park. This facility will include a multi-sport open play space with turf grass, a sand volleyball court, group ADA-compliant picnic shelters and tables, ADA-compliant multi-use trails with exercise stations, landscape features, and installation of drinking fountains, benches, and lighting. The State of New Mexico's Aging and Long-Term Services Department has awarded the Quality of Life Department $310,000. This funding will be used to purchase various senior programs vehicles at various senior centers across the city. The Non-Metro Area Agency on Aging has awarded the Quality of Life Department about $1.1 million with about $684,000 match. The Title III entitlement provides funds to support services for older adults. The funds are used by senior programs to provide at-home support services, congregate nutrition, social engagement, recreation opportunities, home-delivered nutrition, caregiver support, nutrition service incentives, and assistance for seniors looking to rejoin the workforce. And with that, I'll hand over to Mr. Luis Vela to cover the VAF adjustments.
Mayor, Council, City staff, my name is Luis Vela. I'm your City Fleet Administrator. This slide represents the updates that were made to the Vehicle Acquisition Report. These 4 vehicles are directly related to the $310,000 awarded by the State of New Mexico Department of Aging and Long-Term Care in slide 4. With that, I will stand by for questions.
No questions? No.
previous gentleman.
Thank you.
Oh, are you not done yet? I'll let you finish.
Good afternoon. Cynthia Campos, CIP analyst. And with these grant acceptance, we also have 2 CIP amendments. One of them is to the senior program vehicle program, and the other one is for the Benavides Community Center park improvements. And now we stand for questions.
Mayor, I just have one question.
Before your council options, and I stand for questions.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Sorry,
No,
getting ahead of myself. On slide 5, on the match, that's on our end, right? Is that been completed? Is that
That was actually,
that much is done?
that was already budgeted in the
Okay.
beginning of the year, so we're good on the match portion.
Okay,
So,
thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-031. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next, item 7.6, Resolution 25-032, a resolution approving the Fire Station 9 Public Art Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have Ceci?
Gosh, I can't see. There we go. Wrong one. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Ceci Vasconcelos, Public Art Coordinator in the Quality of Life Department. I'm here today to present the City Art Board's recommendation for public art at Fire Station 9. And I don't think there are any City Art Board members. Okay, so we'll move on. The soon-to-be-built Fire Station 9 will be located at 3900 Central Avenue. The overhead map here shows where the station will be built. It's this little purple square here, well, sort of rectangle, I guess. The landscape side plan shows where the artwork will be approximately located at the corner of Central Avenue and Sonoma Ranch Boulevard. So this is Central here, and this is Sonoma Ranch Boulevard, and this is approximately where it'll be located. The Public Art Program released a call for artists for a freestanding public art sculpture for the fire station with a budget of $100,000 in May of 2024. A designated art selection committee reviewed the 115 submissions that were received. 3 top finalists were chosen and invited to present their proposals to the committee. The presentations were held at a public meeting at City Hall on July 23rd, 2024, and the committee's recommendation was then approved by the City Art Board at the August board meeting. Selection committee members were Chief Jason Smith, City Council member Becky Coran, City Art Board members Chantel Yazzie Martin and Susan Polka, and community member Joshua Vaughn. Staff and members of the public were also present to give input, and the presentations were open to the public. The date was posted in print media, news release, and by news release and social media. The artists presenting were Jason Butler, Trevor O'Toole, and Christopher Fennell. The committee scored each artist based on project criteria. The call for artists stated that the piece would reflect the ethos of the firefighting community and character of those who perform that service. Complements the architectural design of the fire station, activates the exterior public space and streetscape, serves as a wayfinding marker for the community, large enough to be a focal point from different vantage points, and it should resonate with the general public, neighborhood, and the Fire Station 9 staff who see it every day. All three artists presented concepts that were strong and scored well. Ultimately, though, the design proposal created by Crystal Fennell scored highest. You should have a copy of the concept statement in case you want to read the artist's statement for yourself. The current name of the piece is Fire Sentries. It is inspired by the work of firefighters. The sculpture will be 24 feet tall and is made of decommissioned ladders, reused fire hydrants, and 1-foot steel pipes. The cluster symbolizes the thorny, spiky plants found in the area as well as fire. The fireball may be lit with orange and red colored floodlights to create a fire-like glow that will reflect off the ladders and change as your viewpoint changes. Here's the artist's rendering of the art piece placed on the west-facing side of the building to show it can be placed anywhere, really. He didn't have the actual site plan for the area that it will be, that we had proposed. This is the model that he created, and you can see the cluster here is the ladders, decommissioned ladders, and these are the fire hydrants here. And then, of course, this is kind of the raw steel color, but it can be, he said it could be painted whatever color we wish, but we would work with the artist for that. And it's 24 feet high. And then, of course, it would be lit at night, so it glows like a fireball. The selection committee did have some modifications for the artist concept. The first one was change the name of the art piece to reflect a firefighter reference. For example, instead of Fire Sentries, use Fire Watch. And second, change shape of the poles to be triangular or other shape instead of round to match the architectural style of the building. These are your options today, and I will stand for questions.
Very nice, Ceci. Thank you. Any questions? I like it.
All right.
Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, I just wanted to say
I'm
that
sorry.
I felt weird not saying anything at all, but it's really beautiful. I'm glad you brought that to us. Thank you for choosing that to the committee.
All right, thank you.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-032. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 7.7, resolution number 25-033, resolution approving amendment of professional service agreement with AKS Architects PC to increase annual not to exceed amount of $2 million for applicable taxes per vendor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilor, City staff. My name is Virginia Varela. I am Buyer 2 with the Financial Services Department. And before you today is a resolution requesting permission to perform an amendment to our existing architectural and engineering services agreement contracts. The City of Las Cruces required requests for proposals for architectural and engineering services. Procurement 20-21-052 was advertised on October 23rd, 2020 for these services. Awarded firms would provide the city with a pre-qualified list of architecture and engineering service firms to be utilized on approved projects on an as-needed basis. 11 submissions were received and submitted to the Selection Advisory Committee for review and approval. On January 21st, 2021, the Selection Advisory Committee recommended to award agreements to 8 of the highest ranking respondents. These respondents were AKS Architecture, ASA Architecture, Desert Peak Architects, Molson Corbin, Vigil and Associates Architects, and Wilson and Company, all of Las Cruces. In addition, we had Hewitt Zollers of Albuquerque and Atkin Olshan Shade Architects of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Since the time that we initially executed that contract, Atkins Ocean Shade was purchased by Mass Design Group, and an assignment and consent agreement was drafted to give ownership of the contract and all of its responsibilities from Atkin Ocean Shade to Mass Design Group, so they now hold the contract that was originally started back in 2021. The purchasing program presented the selection advisory recommendation to City Council on May 3rd, 2021, and at that time, Council authorized city staff to execute professional services agreements with all 8 recommended respondents. The initial term for those was 1 year with 4 one-year options to renew, so it would have a total of 5-year potential for the total term of this agreement. And the approved amount at that time was an annual not-to-exceed amount of $500,000 per vendor. The city is currently in year 4 of 5 of this agreement. So we have the remaining year, which would get us through June 30th, 2025, and then 1 additional year for June 30th, 2026. Due to the complexity and the quantity of projects that are being approved through council, through the budget process, and through the CIP process, we are requesting that this amount be changed from $500,000 in an annual not-to-exceed amount per vendor to $2 million in an annual not-to-exceed amount per vendor. Because of the quantity and complexity of these projects, that has increased since the initial execution of this agreement, we are requesting that this change be made so we can continue to use these contracts on an as-needed basis for pre-approved city projects. Before you are your options, and I stand for any questions.
Questions? Councilor Flores?
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. Can you go back to page 5, please? So the part I don't quite understand is the annual not-to-exceed amount of $2 million plus gross receipts tax annually per vendor. That would be ad infinitum. I mean, just until we say no by virtue of going through this process.
So, Mayor, councilors, the $2 million is basically setting the new capping amount where how much we can use these vendors for pre-approved projects where the budget has already been approved for the projects. So the projects have already gone to council through the budget process, through CIP, or by approval of grants or acceptance of legislative funds or a variety of different funding reasons. Council approves the city to move forward with specific projects. And we require the utilization of specific engineering vendors for a variety of different things, whether it's electrical, structural, or in this case, architectural. So it's allowing the city to move forward with these pre-approved projects to be able to utilize the vendors at the new amount, because currently we're running into instances where we have to stop and not be able to move forward with projects because we've reached the current capping limit with projects that were pre-approved in previous years that are carrying on to current fiscal years. So we have projects that were initiated in 2023 that are still going forward. So the funds that weren't charged out in 2023 are being applied to the contract that we can charge out now, which is limiting how we can use the contracts for current projects. So we're moving the goalposts so we can still continue to work on projects that have already been approved.
Okay, so the way I understand it is that the amount that we authorized before isn't enough to carry out this distribution of funds to the vendors. It says, the very last bullet says, subject to approved budget appropriations. So would that come after the fact, after we vote today? And that's the part that really, it's almost putting like the cart before the horse type of thing.
So councilors, Mayor, Councilor Flores, For the approved budget appropriations, it's the projects that are approved in the CIP. So some of them have already been approved by council, the ones for previous CIP, previous fiscal years, the current fiscal year that we're in, and then for future fiscal years, for like the next final year of this contract, any of the projects that are approved by the CIP through the budget process will be able to utilize these contracts.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Matisse.
It would have been nice, because I know how detailed you are with these presentations. Do you have a handy list of the projects that are having complexities and quality or quantity of the projects with their complexities? Do you have a list available?
I would have to confer with, I'm sorry, Mayor, councilors, I will have to confer with Public Works to get a list of all the projects that they are currently utilizing these vendors for.
Yeah, and you make it available to council or just send it to my email. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? None? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-033. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 7.9, Council Bill number 25-011, ordinance number 3082, an ordinance authorizing, I'm sorry, it's 7.8. Yes, I did skip one. Resolution number 25-034, a resolution approving a service agreement for an MRA in the West Picacho corridor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members, and City staff. My name is Greg Gonzalez. Apologies. I'm the buyer one with the purchasing program here for the City of Las Cruces. Before you today is a resolution authorizing the city to approve the service agreement for the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area Plan development with Stantec Consulting Services. The City of Las Cruces had previously designated the West Picacho corridor as a metropolitan redevelopment area to address issues of blight and poverty. The city has prioritized efforts to alleviate poverty in the community and will provide resources to assist efforts in the alleviation of poverty, as well as providing support to local businesses, options of quality of life, and affordable housing. The city requires professional service agreements for the creation of an MRI plan for the designated West Picacho corridor. The plan will define the city's vision and identify revitalization projects for the designated area, as well as identify sustainability, implementation strategies, identify priority projects, examine existing conditions and assets, as well as develop a physical land use plan with livability and design guidelines, and designate specific redevelopment sites and projects. On March 1st of this year, the city initiated solicitation requests for the proposals for procurement number 23-24-063 for the purpose of pre-qualifying firms that could provide these services and enter in an agreement with the recommended firm. The solicitations were closed on April 2nd, 2024, with 2 proposals received and submitted on the Selection Advisory Committee on May 1st, 2024, for review and recommendation. After review and evaluation, SAC recommendation was to award to Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated from Las Cruces, New Mexico, for an amount not to exceed $232,000 with a contract term of 2 years. And before your options for this resolution, and I now stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Greg. Any questions by council? None? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-034. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bancomo?
Enthusiastically, yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 7.9, Council Bill number 25-011, ordinance number 3082, an ordinance authorizing repayment to the New Mexico Economic Development Department for the Local Economic Development Act, LEDA.
Move to approve.
Second.
Elizabeth?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Elizabeth Teeters, and I'm going to be going through today the cancellation of the Local Economic Development Act funds that were supposed to go towards Artico Cold Storage Facility. The objectives of LEDA are to assisting, expanding, and relocating businesses that stimulate economic growth, have significant community impact and support, increase wages and provide job creation, and promote significant new private capital investment. The background of this specific project was that this was supposed to be Artico's first project. This project did align with the City Council Strategic Plan, Elevate Las Cruces, and the Economic Development Strategic Plan, and our targeted industries. They were to hire 60 full-time employees and spend about $29 million in investment that would go towards land acquisition, building, and equipment. The cancellation of this LEDA was requested by the company due to previously unforeseen financial circumstances. No funds have been transferred to the company, so therefore there's no clawback penalties that will apply. If approved today, the state funds will be transferred back to the New Mexico Economic Development Department. We have already canceled the land sale for this project, so the lien that was in place for the LEDA has already been removed, and this will conclude the process for this LEDA. And with that, I stand for questions.
Any questions by council? Okay, thanks, Elizabeth. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3082. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham is absent. Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bancomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 7.10, Council Bill number 25-013, ordinance number 3084, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 6, Accountability in Government of the Las Cruces Municipal Code.
Move to approve.
Second.
Our City Attorney, Brad Douglas.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Brad Douglas from Legal. I'm joined here today by Viola Perea, our city auditor, or the head of internal audit, rather, and Mr. Charles Tucker, our inspector general. And so you might remember that we brought this item to a work session some months ago, and we received some feedback from council. And so here are some of the key revisions to the ordinance. Definitions were added for fraud, waste, and abuse that are consistent with federal and state guidelines. Whistleblower protections have been added to the accountability and government ordinance. The Inspector General will have improved independence under the ordinance as it's written now. The IG reports to both myself, the city attorney, and the city manager. In my opinion, not appropriate that he reports to me. I should be advising him and assisting him when requested, but if this passes, he or she will report solely to the city manager. Some broadened authority that the Inspector General would have under the revised ordinance is that they would now be able to attend all hearings and meetings related to fraud, waste, and/or abuse that concern LCPD and/or LCFD. That is not in the current ordinance. And then my favorite saying, who watches the watchman? New functions include oversight for the office of the IG itself for increased transparency and accountability. A request that had come up at the work session was that The definitions of fraud, waste, or abuse, the proposed definitions be clarified to add of government resources, so we've made that change. And there was another request for clarification with regard to the mayor's status as a member of city council, so we've gone ahead and made that clarification as well. And of course, the overall goal is to remove ambiguity from the existing ordinance by adding definitions and deleting redundant language. We've done that throughout the document. To increase oversight where no IG function previously existed, to increase transparency and accountability for the office of the IG itself, to clarify the overall oversight committee function, as well as, I should have added this, but as well as to loosen up the restrictions on who may serve on the oversight committee. We loosened those restrictions so that we wouldn't be missing out on any potentially really good candidates. And this is another significant change to increase transparency and accountability for all city contractors, subcontractors, and lower tier contractors. Under the revised ordinance, the Inspector General would have the authority when there's alleged fraud, waste, or abuse with a city contractor to request documentation and information from them. And if they are not forthcoming with that information, well, then they may be at our discretion disbarred from doing future work within the city. Again, to clarify the membership qualifications, and this is an important modification as well. The current ordinance makes it a petty misdemeanor for anyone not to cooperate with the IG investigation. And so we discussed it as a team, myself, Ms. Perea, Mr. Tucker, and came to the conclusion that if the ordinance remains written as it is, frankly, no one would ever cooperate if they were subject to a criminal investigation. And so we removed that penalty. Of course, if internal audit and/or the Office of the Inspector General during the course of their work believe that it may be a criminal matter, well, then they will immediately refer the matter to law enforcement at that point. And so we will stand for questions.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions? Councilor McClure?
Just a question about the Oversight Committee. When would we be putting nominations in for new members?
Hopefully as soon as possible. Thank you, Councilor McClure, for that question. We really wanted to go ahead and, like I said, loosen the restriction on those potential candidates. But it's my understanding that if and when this passes, we have a pool of candidates to look into. And so our goal is to right away begin filling those vacancies and have the Oversight Committee fulfill its function.
Thank you.
Councilor Flores?
Thank you so much, Ms. Attorney Douglas. There's some language that's not entirely, well, clear to me, but I think it's on page 4, maybe 5.
Let's go back to it.
Okay. The part that's missing here, as far as I'm concerned, is that it really doesn't state what the function would be, or did I miss that?
So,
I mean,
Mayor,
I think we all sort of know what it is, but is it stated anywhere?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, good catch. Probably not as clear as it should be in the PowerPoint presentation, which I realize is ironic considering this is an ordinance about transparency and accountability. But the purpose of the Inspector General is to investigate allegations of fraud, waste, and/or abuse within the city, and now proposed, technically still within the city, but with regard also to any contractors, subcontractors, or lower tier contractors doing work on behalf of the city. So that second part does not currently exist in the Accountability and Government Ordinance. We've added that so that the Office of Inspector General has more authority if there's an allegation of fraud, waste, or abuse from a city contractor to subpoena those documents, to request those documents. And if the contractors are not forthcoming with that information, well, then there are penalties, and we as a city can decide what to do at that point. it could look like not working with that contractor in the future if they don't cooperate.
Okay, so the IG would be reporting all of this to our city manager? Or, I mean, there's no real guidelines here as to what is to be reported, how often it's reported. The other thing that is missing is it doesn't really identify or explain or define what the oversight committee is, the real goal there, and how do they have subpoena power? How do they gather the information? Who are the members? Are they in the community? Is it some? I know that oversight committee that was here before only allowed 2 counselors. I don't even know if that would be appropriate. I'm just saying. So, what is who is going to be on that oversight committee?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, another good question. So really what the IG would be doing is if there's an allegation of fraud, waste, and or abuse, the Office of the Inspector General would complete their investigation, and then once their report, and the same applies to an internal audit. If there was an audit that was conducted and there's, let's say, fraud, waste, or abuse, for the IG example, the Inspector General would do their investigation. They would, when complete, they would write up a report involving their findings, and then that report would go to the Oversight Committee, and the Oversight Committee, which is currently not active but hopefully will be very, very soon, would review the findings of the Inspector General and make comments now and recommendations. And their comments and recommendations actually become part of the report at the end of the process. And so with regard to reporting to the city manager, technically the Office of the Inspector General under the revised ordinance would report to the city manager, but most of their work would go through the Oversight Committee. I'm struggling to think of a time when it would not, actually.
So it sounds that there's a huge, the onus or the responsibility would be on that Oversight Committee. And so is it going to, I'd like to know who the members would be. And I'm not saying, oh, City Council should be on that. I'm just saying you'd have to have someone who would have access to the, no, this is for the public to understand. Okay.
So apologies, Councilor. As you know, we do have, excuse me, vacancies on the Oversight Committee right now. Hopefully we will fill them very, very soon. But with regard to the process, the city auditor just reminded me that yes, whenever the IG is doing an investigation and their report is complete, it would go to the city manager, as well as myself, actually, for review. And then a copy of the completed investigation would be served on the target of that investigation. But then the Oversight Committee would have an opportunity to comment and make recommendations, and their recommendations do become part of the finalized report.
So the composition of the Oversight Committee, so you touched on the function, but it's going to be residents, it's going to be anybody who would like to be on the oversight. Would it have to be a resident of the city of Las Cruces?
That's correct, Councilor. So there will be ex officio non-voting members from City Council. Excuse me. But then the other applicants will have a background in either audit or, I believe, finance. Hang on, let me find it. Audit, finance, accounting, or an IG background. That's that's right, or legal, law enforcement, or business background. So thanks, Viola, for saving me there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor.
Counselor Curran?
Thank you. Sorry, that goes to my sort of point about this, which is, like many city committees, we had sort of created positional spaces of things that people were not able to do. So for instance, accountants, I think, can command, I don't know, $100 an hour for their work. And this is a volunteer committee like all city committees that's uncompensated. And so it's a high bar to ask for someone who can get $100 an hour to come to volunteer committees. I say this just as this is a really good example of why I think we struggle sometimes in thinking about our public participation and committee functions and balancing professional experiences with an all-volunteer sort of group of folks. And I think about this on all our committees, P&Z, Animal Service, all of these committees where folks are giving an inordinate amount of time and expertise. And I think that in this case specifically, where we had very narrowly defined things, we were really precluding a lot of folks who might be good public servants to volunteer or be able to be qualified on it. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not that we're lowering the bar necessarily for folks whose experience is expected. It's really that specific professional roles named as committee members is a really difficult thing for us to fill across the board, and we've experienced this a lot. So anyway, I thank anyone who's applied and is considering it, and I hope folks will consider applying now, given the broader opening for them to be able to be participating. So, sorry, thanks. That's just, I think, what Yvonne was trying to get at, but I wanted to clarify what it means for us. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councilor Corrin, and you said it better than I can. That's exactly right. So under the ordinance, the way it's written right now, arguably someone would have to be an active certified public accountant. It doesn't matter if they have 30 years of experience as a CPA. If they're not an accountant right now, then they would not qualify to be on the board, and under the revised version, that person would be.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad and the team, for your diligence on this, on rewriting this, and bringing it to us here today. Just a couple of comments and then a couple questions. I think it's really, I'm glad the petty misdemeanor was removed. I think that's a really important step in compliance. I also think it's really important that the Inspector General is under the city manager. I know that was up in the air for a little while. I understand that may be somewhat complicated at times, and so that is one of my questions in terms of it. I couldn't find language in here, or do we need to specify what happens if the Inspector General is investigating any complaint regarding the city manager? And so at that point, does the Inspector General go to the city attorney or the auditor? Or an assistant city manager.
Right. Mayor Pro Tem, excellent question, and it's one that we contemplated when we were going through the ordinance. So if let's say the city manager were under investigation, it would obviously be a conflict of interest for the IG to do that investigation, because he or she would ultimately report to the city manager. So that's not just a possible conflict, that's a direct conflict of interest. And so what we would do in that instance is we would refer to the Code of Ethics, and we would stand up I always get them mixed up because there are two, the Ethics Enforcement Board. That's right. And so the IG would not be involved in that investigation.
Oh, the IG would not be involved?
No.
I see. I understand. Okay. And that language is somewhere already. We don't have to then re-specify it here again.
That's right, Mayor Pro Tem. It's in our city code now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. Thank you. And then in terms of the oversight committee, right now, do we have 3 open seats or? Yes, 3 open seats. Okay, that's okay. I was actually going to suggest that because we've redone the whole process, that if there was any members currently still on, that they actually reapply. I feel like that's important just moving forward. And then in terms of the applicants, will you ensure that council gets their applications as well? Who is going to be selecting them? Maybe that's my first question.
Mayor Pro Tem, we can certainly do that. So my, what am I trying to say? My responsibility in vetting these applicants has always just been to ensure that they meet minimum requirements, and then, of course, they're forwarded on. Viola is always there when I need her. And then, yes, the revised ordinance states that as vacancies on the committee occur, the council shall appoint new members. All appointments shall be subject to council approval.
Right. So that's right. And generally, you know, some of these committees were appointing folks at a district level that we know. And so, you know, they've sort of come with an additional recommendation, if you will. But because these are at large, these are 3 at large, we might not know them. I would just request that we get those in advance of a voting day. And I'm looking at our city clerk because I think that would be under her responsibility. And so that would just be my request on that. And then I do note on here that because we will have 3 new members and they should be serving 3-year terms, and they be staggered, that some of those will be appointed initially for 1 year or 2 year, correct? Brad?
Mayor Pro Tem, I hate to say something I'm not sure of, but I believe that's correct.
Mayor, if the city clerk wants to add something.
Yeah, go ahead, Christine.
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, they're initially staggered, and then after that staggered, then they serve a 3-year term.
Perfect. Thank you, Christine.
And that's right, Mayor Pro Tem. One would be a 1, one would be a 2, and one would be a 3 initially. So they would be staggered that way.
Okay, great. And then I wish I had written down my questions because I could have sworn I had one more, but now I can't remember. So I will, you know, I'm sure it'll come back to me eventually. Oh, I do remember now. Who is the point staff person for the oversight committee? Who will make sure that after today things keep moving? Is it the IG? Is it you, Brad?
It would not be Mayor Pro Tem. It would not be the IG, and it would not be me. I would defer to the city clerk.
I just think there should be, just like when we had PRCs and there was like one staff person who was sort of the heading up that particular subject matter PRC. I just feel like there has to be a staff person assigned to this, otherwise it will fall through the cracks.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council Icaneta Mobile, City Manager, that is something that we'll have to get back. That's a great question. And at this time, we have a few thoughts right now, but we just need some time to finalize that, but that'll be ready after this meeting.
Yeah, that obviously doesn't have to be written in the ordinance, but I just wanted to make sure that there was a key contact person moving forward. But that'll be it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
You have another question?
Well, I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I know we don't want to delay this, and it's been a long time coming. I mean, it's been a long, long time since we've had a committee. There's no provision as to the point that Councilor Bencomo brought up. And I don't think it hasn't been addressed. So how would it be in the ordinance? Where would it be? Would it be like, that's what I know and everybody says that?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, we thought that we had considered everything, and we have had conversations about a point person. I don't believe it's something that would need to be in the ordinance, literally per se. I think that that's something that we could coordinate internally. In the past, legal has kind of taken point on that, and in the past, and we could do that if need be, but I don't necessarily think that it's fatal, or I hope it's not, to the passage of today's revisions. And I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Councilor Flores, great question, Brad. Appreciate that. This is something, as we're talking about this, it's a great question because it's something that, honestly, the decision is administrative. When we talk about lead, when we talk about point person, this is the liaison to facilitate. That is something that, honestly, what's going through my mind right now is, could it be Charles? Could it be Viola? Could it be Brad? Could it be a representative from the CMO, a city manager's office? And so there's all these options. So it isn't something that, as Brad mentioned, we do not have to, from my perspective, assign this in the ordinance. It is something on preference. Whoever is in this seat, talking to the CMO, where do we feel should be facilitating these meetings? Typically, that person they're facilitating. So the positions that we really wanted the parameters for was the parameters that were mentioned. This position is more facilitator. So that's why I wasn't one to assign that in the ordinance, but it was more administrative function of supporting, facilitating, and being the liaison. So that was my thought. I just wanted to share that. Obviously, you, as Councilor Flores and the dais, Mayor Pro Tem, you let us know if you'd like to wait on that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3084. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham is absent. Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next on the agenda is board appointments. We have none. Notice of proposed ordinance, none. So we'll go to city council member board reports and comments. I'll start with Councilor McClure.
Thank you, Mayor. The only comment I had was, as much as I'm chronically online, I also missed the New Mexico Transportation Summit and only saw it through Velo Las Cruces posting. So thank you for that. I'd like to have that on my calendar for next year. But I also want to suggest that that might be a good place to do recruiting for HR to get an active transportation specialist. I can't remember what the title is offhand, but events like that seem very crucial to hire these sort of high-level positions. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Matisse. Councilor Coran.
Thank you. I don't have a lot either, but I do want to follow up on the sort of conversation about that and as it relates to the MPO, which we know has been part of the city and is now branching off. And so I just want to again thank all of the folks throughout the city institution who have worked really hard on developing the MOU and the JPA, figuring out the functions of the MPO as it becomes independent of the city of Las Cruces, and to the folks who are on the MPO board with me. I just want to mention that those new drafts are up for a first read at our next meeting, which is next Wednesday. So I do just want to reiterate that there are a lot of folks in the city who worked really hard to, including CAO Bencomo and Andrew Ray and folks in insurance and IT and finance. So I really just want to thank those folks for all that you've done to contribute to developing those documents and helping support the MPO to becoming a new and independent organization. And just to give folks a heads up that will be coming to us as a council pretty soon for approval. And that's a positive progress for us all. So otherwise, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flores.
I don't have any comments, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I just really quickly wanted to thank economic development staff especially, but anybody who was involved in getting the MRA for West Picacho to today. And then mayor and city manager, I guess my next request would be that even if we aren't going to start really hiring contractors and consultants for other MRAs, that we start designating other MRAs. I've had that conversation with Chris Faber from Economic Development so that they can start accumulating revenue. I don't know what the word exactly is, but revenue, they're shaking their heads, so that means yes. I think it's important. So like Albuquerque has like 20 designated MRAs, I think, right? And they're not necessarily, working on all of them as much as we'll be working on these two, but at least they're designated and accumulating revenue, and we'll be ready for when the council is ready to move on those. So I would just request that we get those on either work session or on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Flores? Yes.
Okay, there is an announcement, and I want to thank Councilor Matisse for passing his postcard about community design workshop. You're invited. They begin on Monday, September 9, and they go on for several months. And then there's, anyway, I want you to go to the website and get the details on this. A lot of people will benefit from that. The community will benefit from that and understand your city a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. I just have a couple of things I wanted to announce. September 13th is the first annual Paws, Claws, and Hoofs fundraising event. And I share that because this individual, Dr. Don Duncan, came to me, to my office to talk about how do we help raise funds for an emergency hospital for animals, and how do we get better care. And instead of just complaining, she stepped up to have the first annual Paws, Claws, and Hoofs, and it'll be September 13th at the Farm and Ranch. And to me, it's just a beautiful thing when the community steps up and says, what can we do to make a difference? And they've stepped up, and I really appreciate that, and that's why I acknowledge her today and want to share that event takes place on September 13th. They're also having a silent auction. I think they still have some seats or tables available. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was public comment. Public comment, again, is a privilege. It's an opportunity for the public to come out and voice their concerns. It's not a time to debate. It's not a time to get into discussion, and definitely it's not a time to attack anybody personally or to be rude. And we have to be respectful and polite, and I just reiterate that about public comment. And with that, I'll turn it over to the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, City Council, Icani Tamopao, City Manager. Just a few announcements. For Parks and Rec, Keep Las Cruces Beautiful program will be providing a neighborhood dumpster on Saturday, September 14th from 8 to noon at the following locations: Tony Gomez Park, Henry Benavides Community Center, and East Mesa Rec Center. The community can dump yard waste, household trash, and other permittable items. For more information, feel free to contact KLCB. Item number two from Parks and Rec, the East Mesa Sports Complex grand opening and ribbon cutting will be held September 13th at 3 p.m. at 4660 Sonoma Springs Avenue. This is the new complex opening up. This is going to be a fantastic event. This is the first phase of a multi-phase Go Bond project that includes 2 baseball fields, 2 multi-use projects, 2 multi-use sports fields, and 8 pickleball courts. Join us for refreshments, games, and music. As part of the celebration with the city, we'll host a 2-day pickleball tournament. Registration can be done online at the city website under Parks and Rec. Lastly, for Parks and Rec, Movies in the Park, this Saturday, September 7th at Young Park. We will be showing Element, rated PG. Movie starts at dusk. For economic development, community design workshops for the El Paso and Solano MRA will be held September 9th through 11th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Real Life Church. Draft scenarios for the future of MRA plus discussions on ideas for catalytic projects will be presented. For community development, we will be hosting multiple opportunities to inform the public about proposed changes to the development code, Realize Las Cruces, September 10th from 1 to 4 at East Mesa Public Safety Complex, September 11th from 9 to 12 here at City Hall, and September 12th from 2 to 5 at the Benavides Community Center. Last but not least, for VLC, we had one of our own staffs, Sergio Salinas from Visit Las Cruces, participated in Colorado Springs Balloon Festival Labor Day liftoff by showcasing the Las Cruces RC hot air balloon and promoting our city to thousands of spectators from across the country. Thank you, Mayor, and that's all.
Thank you, City Manager. With that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Corin.
Second.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham is absent. Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.